defeat.
Oh, look at him go! Oh, baby. Oh, no.
This is ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Strength, speed, endurance. Today, the fastest skaters on ice seek the gold. Jennifer Rodriguez, fresh off her bronze medal at last month's sprint championship, sets her eyes on the most grueling of all races. Standing in her way are the dangerous Germans, who are the most powerful skaters in the world.
They've definitely set the bar. It's amazing to me how dominant they are year after year after year.
The U.S. men have a double threat of their own with Shawnee Davis and Chad Hedrick. But can they dethrone the dominant Dutch, who swept the podium last year? They all converge at one of the greatest venues for speed skating, and it's coming up next. Today we travel to the lovely little hamlet of Hamar, where history reveals a healthy people in a great Norwegian north, a people who have a tradition of vivacious outdoor living, which is dominated by sport. This afternoon, we're in the Viking ship on Lake Musha, the site of the 1994 Olympics. The fans here have made their annual trek and have come from all over the world. And welcome to ABC's Wide World of Sports presentation of the World All-Around Speed Skating Championships. And hi, everybody. I'm Tim Brandt along with Bonnie Blair. Let's talk about the women first. The Germans have dominated over the last decade. Does Jennifer Rodriguez of the United States have a legitimate chance?
Well, you know, I think if Jen has any chance, this is the year to be in the top three. Her early part of the season has gone unbelievable, beating Amy Friesinger in some of those 1,500-meter races. They're actually going to be paired in the 500-meter to start the whole competition off. That's going to be a great race. You
know, it's a similar story for the men. The Dutch have won the last 9 years, and yet all anybody's talking about here, the American men.
Well, you know, this is probably the strongest team the Americans have ever fielded. The depth is incredible. We've got 4 truly world-class guys. I think we should see some exciting races.
Bonnie, the all-around championship, certainly a test for these skaters because it is a combination of both speed and endurance.
You're right, Tim. The women and men skate 4 races each, starting with the 500-meter sprint and finishing with the most grueling test in the 5,000 meters for women and the 10,000 meters for men. The world champion is determined by a scoring system that converts time into points using the 500 meters as a base. This ensures that consistency is rewarded ahead of specialization. The skater with the fewest points after 4 races is crowned the world all-around champion.
All right, Bonnie, ready now for the first of 4 distances, the ladies' 500-meter race, 1 1/4 laps. This is Italy's Nicola Meyer, and she is paired with Germany's Claudia Pechstein, who was the 2000 world all-around champion. She finished second in the Europeans last month. The German skaters have won 8 of the last 9 championships.
Claudia always in there for the overall. Her most difficult race, though, is right here, the 500 meters. If she can get off to a good race here, that sets her up for the rest of the competition.
Split times, 10.92 for Pechstein.
And that is an awesome split time there for Pechstein. Exactly what she wanted to do to try to get her off to a good start here at this World Championships.
Fastest 100 of the day. Pechstein looks good down the backstretch.
One of the things about watching Claudia in training earlier in the week, her frequency looked a little bit higher, not as slow, and right here we're seeing a great race by her.
Down the stretch they come. Pechstein in with the time, 39.85.
They tied. What a great race. Claudia very happy with that race.
So she sets herself up well for the rest of the all-round. Let's take a look at our lineup today on ABC Sports. We'll be followed by a regional college basketball doubleheader featuring UConn at Pitt at 1:30 Eastern and Maryland at North Carolina at 3:30 Eastern. Check your local listings for the games in your area. Here's a look at Christina Groves of Canada skating in her 6th World Championship. She finished 4th last year. Her strength the longer distances. She's paired with 22-year-old Videke Kramer of the Netherlands skating in her 2nd Worlds. She was 4th at the European Championship. Excellent as a junior.
Now Kramer skating very well in the juniors. You know, kind of a couple years in there where she wasn't, you know, at the top of her game, but she's really come on strong here this last season.
How about this? 10.85 for Kramer. That is a fantastic 100.
A very fast opening time, and Tim looks, she's going to get a great draft going down the backstretch. Conserving a little bit of energy, now going right past her on that inner.
How about this race? Really turning it on.
Maybe coming out a little bit wide there, but she didn't lose anything. Carrying her speed.
22-year-old Kramer is in with a time of 39.40. That is a personal best. Ready now for the final pairing, Ani Friesinger and Jennifer Rodriguez of the United States. These two met just last month in Nagano, Japan in the World Sprint Championships. Ani Friesinger came into the sprints as an alternate, and she surprised even herself with a second-place finish. Jennifer Rodriguez, looking to improve on last year's fifth-place finish, did just that with a great 1,000-meter race, which got her to the medal stand. But this all-round is a much more grueling test.
The most important and the hardest and the beautifulest race is the all-round World Championship. It's 4 distances. For us, for the ladies, it's the 500. You have to skate a bit 500 and even the 5 kilometers. So it's so different. This year is especially hard because of all the travel we've had to do, and I just came from Japan like 3 weeks ago, and I had to go back to the States, adjust to that time, and then come over here adjust to this time. And I think it is hard to be on top in both, and I think if somebody can do it like Cindy did it last year, I think, man, you know, awesome.
Winning both the sprints and the all-rounds is a phenomenal feat, more rare than you can imagine. Since 1983, 2 women, that's it, have ever done it. Jen Rodriguez, a 2-time Olympic medalist. Ani Friesinger, 2-time world all-round champion. Let's see how they meet this challenge.
This is going to be the race of the 500s. This is a great matchup for both of them. Jen has the championship record, the fastest ever skated at the Worlds, but Annie's going to push her all the way.
Friesinger has the fastest 100 of the race, 10.76.
A very fast opening time there by Friesinger. That could have been her fastest opener yet. Annie's been on a roll this season, and she just keeps it going.
Bonnie, these two are flat out flying.
This is going to be a great matchup. I think Annie's got the edge coming out of this turn.
Time to beat 39.40.
But Jen's got her right at the finish.
Rodriguez in with a time of 38.74. And puts Jen in first place after one of 4 events.
Just off the championship record, but a great solid race there by Jen. That's what she wants to do. 4 solid races. She's off to a good start.
All right, Bonnie, and like this hardy Norwegian, Jen Rodriguez has sunk her hook well into the competition here at the Viking ship. Take a look at the standings. Jennifer Rodriguez wins the 500. She's off to a terrific start. 2-time world champion Ani Friesinger is second, followed by Kramer, Wang, and Peckstein. Elliott and Rainey of the United States 13th and 20th. Getting ready now for the men, and that means Shawnee Davis. And he is speed, pure speed, and a genuine threat. And like Jen Rodriguez, Chad Hedrick is an inline skater, and he's the one that everybody's talking about.
I grew up in Houston, Texas, and been inline skating professionally since I was 16 years old. Last season was the first year for me to jump on the ice, and it was just a way for me to live my Olympic dreams.
And that dream continues as we start the 500-meter race for the men.
Go to the start.
Chad revolutionized inline skating through a technique called a double push. He's recognized as the greatest inline skater ever, and he's paired with Stephen Elm of Canada, a middle-of-the-pack guy, not a burner.
Well, with this being Chad's first all-round championships, you know, he's still trying to zone in on a technique that's his own. You see him sometimes slip a little bit, but that's going to be normal.
First 100 meters, 10.38.
And that's a okay split time there for Chad. You know, like I said, he's still learning as he goes, but he creates a lot of power to the ice, and that's really where he gets his speed.
He's got a great looking style, trying to make an impact in his first World Championships. Here he comes a little wide.
A little wide there, even on that outer turn. He's carrying that speed well all the way through the finish.
And in with a time of 36.49. That is a personal best for Chad Hedrick, and he is happy with that start.
By almost a half a second personal best. What a great race.
So Chad Hedrick off to a terrific start, and bring on Shawnee Davis of the United States. Extremely talented skater. He skates both long and short track. He believes the 5,000 is the most important race. I know, Bonnie, you're not crazy about the fact that he skates both long and short track.
He's so talented in long track, Tim. I'd like to see him stick with it because he could really do something in Torino.
Here we go now. We'll get an indicator here in the first 100 meters. The split time, the fastest is 10.13.
And this is going to be a great pairing for him because Lenkov is very fast off to the bat. Look at that, 10-0, the fastest split time so far. And Shawnee right there with him.
Davis trying to gain ground down the backstretch.
But I think Shawnee knows that last year at his first World Championships, he came in a little nervous,
He stumbles.
a little stumble, but he comes back, firing coming out of that turn.
Lenkov down the stretch he comes. Davis off of him. The time in for Lenkov, 35.78.
And Shawnee right there in second so far.
Here's another American, Derek Parra. Won Olympic gold in the 1500. He won silver in the 5,000 and finished third in the 2000 World All-Rounds at Tiof Arena in the Netherlands, paired with Ivan Strobev of Russia. Derek Parra out of a three-point stance.
And Derek shouldn't have any problem winning this pairing, but the thing you got to remember, it's over 4 distances. You've got to get off to a good start.
Across the 100 meters, 10.09 for Strobev.
Derek looking nice and smooth coming out of that inner turn.
He's staying low. He has to gain speed here now in the final 2 turns. The final turn, low and tight.
Derek coming out with the edge there. He's got to stay nice and low all the way through to the finish.
Derek Parra in with the time, 36.29.
Good enough for third so far. That's the way to start off the championship.
Here's 33-year-old Casey Boudier of the United States. Is married to Jennifer Rodriguez. These are his 10th World Championships. He was 4th in '97. That's his best. Solid at all 4 distances. And he is paired with Mark Teitert. 23-year-old Dutchman from Holton. Won the European Championships last month in Heerenveen. Finished 4th at the World All-Round last year. Teitert won the Junior Worlds in '99. Probably the hottest skater coming in to these championships.
Yeah, Tim, Mark's got to be the guy to beat, but in this pairing right here, both of them have very similar personal best times. This could be a race to the wire.
First 100 meters, 10.02 for Teitert.
The second fastest opening time so far today. Casey's really got to think about skating his own race. Teitert getting a good draft going down the backstretch. He's going to win this pairing, no problem.
Final turn, Teitert goes really wide.
A little bit wide there.
Teitert in with a time of 36.04. Puts him in second place. So take a look at the standings. If Evgeny Lenkov wins the 500 with Teitert second. But the story here is the United States finishing 3, 4, 5, and 7. 4 Americans in the top 7, positioning themselves well for the next 3 distances. Coming up next, Jennifer Rodriguez started strongly by winning the 500, but she knows her main threat will come from Germany.
They're just always on top. I think everybody's trying to strive to at least compete with them, if not, try to beat them.
The women's 1500 is next.
The World All-Round Speed Skating Championships on ABC Sports, brought to you by Smart Ones, the power of red. Crest Whitestrips, the secret to a whiter smile is in the strip. And Franklin Templeton Investments, gain from our perspective.
Take a look at the results of the women's 3,000-meter race. Renata Grenewald finishing first, followed by Schmidt, Pechstein, Hughes, and Friesinger. But the story here is Jennifer Rodriguez with a disappointing 14th, which drops her to 5th overall. Jen Rodriguez behind Friesinger, Kramer, Pechstein, and Grenewald, all very much in the hunt. Now the 1,500 meters is coming up, and it's one of Jen Rodriguez's strengths. She's one of those skaters who does not put undue pressure on herself. She knows that the big threat is coming from the Germans, but she's going to skate within herself.
Yeah, I don't go out there and say, oh, I got to beat Annie, I got to beat Claudia, or whatever. I just go out there and skate the race that I know I can skate in, and if that's good enough to beat them, then that's great. If it's not, then next time.
Look at this, and this is why she can act so confident, Bonnie. She's had success almost everywhere.
Well, and her 1500 has even picked up more this year. She's been winning it at the World Cup. She's got a lot of confidence.
World sprints, world all-rounds, and here she is now ready for the women's 1500. 3 3/4 laps, and you heard her confidence. She is paired with Barbara Delore of the Netherlands, and she really has to bust one here.
Now, Tim, so important in this race for Jen is to get off to a good start, get into a good rhythm, make sure she gets up to speed right away.
She's been skating with a great deal of confidence, although the 3,000 she finished 14th, and I know she was disappointed at that. She's looking for a 26:18 here in the first 300 meters.
Using both arms, trying to get up to speed, settling in there now.
Good split times.
Fastest time of the day so far. Nice and smooth. You see her shoulders nice and level there. Those pushes going right to the side.
Bonnie, does she pick up speed traditionally? I mean, is she one that gets faster as she goes along?
Well, this race is hard to do that in, but you know what? She got up to speed right away, and that's when you want to try to hold it off. You want to try to skate consistent lap times.
Looking for a 55:53. Her split time. Look at this, 55:24, the fastest.
A 29-second lap there. That was a good, solid lap. She's going to get a nice break here. Barbara Delore being a bigger skater, a little bit of a draft right there.
Jennifer Rodriguez staying low to the ice, and look at the tight turn.
A nice inner turn there by Jen. Now she's got to try to hold her technique together as best she can this last lap.
Looking for a 1:26:58, much better.
A great lap time, only falling off a little bit less than a second there per lap. That's exactly what you want to do in this race.
Jennifer Rodriguez of the United States trying to make an impact. This is the race to do it in.
And she can't hold anything back. She knows that some of the Germans are going to be skating after. She's got to go all the way to the finish, giving everything she's got.
Looking for a 1:58:83. Jen Rodriguez to the finish line. She goes in with a time, 1:57:33, and it puts her in first place in the 1500.
A nice solid race there by Jen in that last lap. Less than a second drop. That was perfect.
Here is the former world champion, Claudia Pechstein, currently in third place at the halfway point of this competition. Seems as if she is always on the medal stand. Extremely consistent. This is a great pairing because Claudia Pechstein is paired with Renata Grunewald, who is making a charge. She won the 3,000 meter race, which moved her into fourth place overall. But keep in mind, she won at this distance last month in the European Championships. She is capable here. So it's Claudia Pechstein, Renata Grunewald.
Now these guys probably aren't going to get off to as fast a start as Jen did. They're going to settle in and kind of pick it up within that second lap.
What is Claudia's strength here? What should we look for in the 1500 from her?
Well, Claudia is just very strong all the way across in this race. Like I said, she's not going to be probably one of the fastest at the 300-meter split, but she'll pick it up after that.
You've watched Renata skate for a long time, and she was very strong at the Europeans.
So see, 26.2, a little bit slower than Jen, but this is the lap that these guys are going to maybe try to get a little bit closer to Jen on. They need to get in a good rhythm in this race because this race is all about rhythm.
This is almost a combination of speed and endurance here in this race.
Pretty good turn there by Renata coming up on Claudia there a little bit on that inner track.
55:24 was Jen's split time. They don't get it.
Still both skaters looking nice and strong, not coming up too much. Claudia, one of the things that I've noticed about her is she's had a little bit higher frequency in her skating. Sometimes I think she gets a little bit too long on her strokes. She's keeping that frequency up. I like that.
Split time at the 1100-meter mark. 1:25:88 for Pechstein. Not the fastest.
And this is going to be one of Claudia's strong points here in the race. This last lap, she is always so tough. Technically still nice and low, But Grenewald coming in on the inner track here.
This will be a great
looks like
finish.
She's got the edge.
Here comes Grenewald. Grenewald slides past her. Both of them neck and neck. They come down the finish line. It's going to be Grenewald in with the time, 1:57.48.
Jennifer's still in front so far.
So everybody's been talking about the Germans, Bonnie, and if you look at these numbers, you can see why.
Well, and Claudia, this is 8 years in a row she's been in the top 3. I mean, those are some phenomenal stats.
And certainly we've talked about Annie a great deal. Here she is, the European champion, and trying to regain the world title she held in 2001 and 2002. Whittaker Kramer of the Netherlands has also been terrific.
Well, from the 500 meters, these guys definitely showed that they've got speed. So in this race, I look for them to start off with a bang, good opening times, and trying to carry it all the way through.
Well, Friesinger knows what's on the line here. She's got to really bust one, and here she comes.
Well, and see, with Jen having skated before Annie knows exactly what she has to do in this race to try to overtake her.
Rodriguez had a 25.95. They're split. It's faster.
Great opening time there by Annie. She's so strong in her skating, so powerful. Kramer skating a little bit more with finesse, I think. But Annie also struggling in that 3,000 meters. You know, maybe a lot of this travel for these guys this season has kind of taken their toll on them.
Rodriguez split time was 55.24. Hers 54.69.
Annie really going out and busting one here, Tim. She is on fire.
Bonnie, you're a champion. What is it about her that's so special?
Well, I think one thing on her side, Tim, is she's got her brother to train with. He's on the World Cup circuit. She gets to follow him. He's like her rabbit. And so she gets to, like, try to push as hard as he can every single time, trying to get everything out of every push.
1:25.17, much faster than Jennifer Rodriguez.
But still, her actual lap time was a little bit slower than Jen, so we'll have to see how much technique she can hold together. She might have started out a little bit too fast. We see her dying off here a little bit. She's come up a little high. You can see her struggling a little bit here on this turn.
Her jaw is dropped. Grasping for air, down the stretch.
I don't know,
1:57.33 is the time she has to beat Rodriguez at this distance. She's not going to get it.
She started out way too fast and had to pay for it in that last lap. Jen Rodriguez wins a 1,500-meter race. That was spectacular.
Bonnie, as we take a look at the standings, with Jennifer Rodriguez winning the 1,500, she moves from 5th to 3rd and puts herself in the medal hunt behind Annie Friesinger and Claudia Pechstein. But look at Renata Grenewald surprising everybody in 4th. Coming up, newcomer Chad Hedrick and fellow American Shani Davis go after the Dutch, who have won 9 straight and are confident on number 10.
The chances are, yeah, pretty big that that's going to happen. I'll bet my money on a Dutch speed skater.
Oh my, the 1,500 next. In the village of Hamar this weekend, it's all about speed. It's all about endurance as well. The World All-Around Speed Skating Championships from Olympic Hall, the Viking ship. And it has been some kind of cold this weekend, just the way they like it here. Folks, in the men's 5,000-meter race, everything got interesting. Shani Davis of the United States got stronger as the race went on. He skated a personal best, a new championship record, and he finished 4th. 26-year-old Chad Hedrick, he too skated extremely well. A new championship record in 6:20.69. But it was the final pair that got everybody talking. Carl Verheyen is skating here. Bonnie, tell us about it.
Well, you can see on the inner track, that guy is not in the race. That's Joachim Utehagen. He already skated. He thinks he's cooling down, but in reality, he's pacing Carl, who's on that middle lane, to try to get him up to speed to help him finish this race.
Well, it certainly created a lot of controversy. And after the discussion, Utehagen was penalized, but Verheyen was not. So, after 2 races, here are your standings. And the United States won 2, which certainly has the Dutch talking about how strong the Americans have become. It takes most people years to make the home of their dreams. We're doing it in 1 hour. Every week, one house gets ripped to the studs for one deserving family. Extreme Makeover. Home Edition starts tonight at 8, 7 Central, right here on ABC. Ready now for the men's 1,500-meter race. And there's no question but the fact that Carl Verheyen benefited from the controversy in the 5,000. He won that distance and is currently in 5th place. He's paired with Evgeny Lelenkov of Russia, who was very dangerous. This is a good pairing, but Bonnie, what do you think about the controversy in the 5,000?
Yeah, Tim, I mean, it's really unfortunate. The thing is that it's never really happened before, so they really don't even have a rule that they could put in place for it. So that's going to be something that they'll do over the summer to get ready for next year's rule book.
Actually, also, they talked about penalizing him 2 seconds, but were unable to do it because...
Right, there were a couple of things they thought about doing, but there was no rule that said they could.
Looking for a 23.98. He's in with a 23.49.
Lelenkov with a very fast 300-meter time, but this is going to be one of his better races. The 500, this race, he can get it up to speed right away. Carl, he's going to have to try to reel him in as this race goes on.
But with Lelenkov jumping out like this, it has to help Verheyen.
Well, it's definitely given him something to shoot for. Pretty quick lap times there, 26.3. Little stumble there.
Verheyen trying to win this thing, trying to put a good 1,500 together here to position himself for the 10,000.
Right, and coming back here quite a bit in this lap on that inner lane.
Looking for a 1:18.01. They didn't get it.
Carl, a great lap time there, 27.6. Very solid lap time. One of the fastest so far. Now he's got to hold that technique together.
Verheyen really starting to pour it on now, but he's coming up higher.
On that outer turn, it's going to be close all the way to the finish for these guys.
Fastest time so far is 1:47.38. His time. 1:47.42. He didn't get it, but he posted a pretty good time that the Americans now will have to go after. Here's a look at Mark Seitert, who has positioned himself well. He is in 3rd place. And keep in mind, he won the 1,500 at the European Championships and finished 2nd in the 10,000. So he is now the Dutch favorite. He is paired with Italy's Enrico Fabrice.
And this could be a pretty good matchup here. Tim, I think this could be a good race for the both of them as far as times that they've skated this year. I look for Mark to be a little bit to more have the edge in this race. He's getting off to a great opening time here.
Little wide in the turn, but coming down, the best split time, 23.49. His 23.52, just off of that.
Just off of that. So important to try to get this race up to pace and settle into a nice rhythm. He's looking very comfortable on his skates there as he gets ready for this outer turn.
He was almost perfect last month in the European Championships. He's got momentum coming in. Looks pretty smooth right now. The split time he's looking for is 49.48. 49.64.
Still just off that, but a very nice lap time, 26.1. That's very solid. That was one of the fastest lap times at the 700 mark. This is the lap they've got to try to skate as best they can, because this is the lap that can make or break this race.
He too looks like he's coming a little bit high now, Bonnie.
And a little bit wide on that turn.
1:18.01 is what he wants. 1:17.16.
Oh, what a great lap time there. 27.5. Now he's got to try to hold that technique together. Make sure he keeps that frequency up, those pushes going right to the side. This could be a rink record here, Tim.
Rink record's 1:47.01. Here comes Seitert down the stretch.
His personal best is 1:46.47. And in with a time of 1:46.28, he got it. A new personal best and a new rink record. A championship record for Mark Seitert.
Here come the two American skaters, Shawnee Davis on the left, Chad Hedrick on the right. Let's hear their thoughts on the 1,500-meter distance.
Well, I won Junior Worlds in the 1,500 meters, so I think that's probably maybe my strongest race. but it's one of those races that you have to execute perfectly, or you won't get a a great time.
I'm racing with myself against the clock. So I get in a habit sometimes of racing my partner, which is something I need to forget about and just do my own thing and go as hard as I need to go.
When is the last time we saw an All-American final pairing this late in the competition at the World Championship? Here's Chad Hedrick. He's the leader halfway through in his first World Championship. And here is Shawnee Davis, who has the fastest times this season in the 1500. Although he lost his balance a couple of times in the first two races, he needs to stay solid. He, too, is a big-time talent. Chad Hedrick on the right. Shawnee Davis.
Red. Tim, I think you can't almost say too much about either one of these guys. Chad Hedrick, coming from the sport of inline, has a list of accomplishments that's a mile long. And then you got Shawnee Davis, a talented skater that can skate both short track and long track during the same season.
Well, the Dutch look at Hedrick as one of the best in the world right now. Split time they're looking for 23:49. They got it. Davis right on it.
Shawnee getting this race up to speed right away. Little bit of close call there on the back stretch at the crossover, but Shawnee able to go in front. The outer skater always has the right of way, Tim, so therefore Chad had to for sure let him go.
Bonnie, how can they help each other in this race?
Well, you really got to skate your own race, and the thing is Chad knows that Shawnee's got a great split to be able to get out there and get in front right away.
49:30 is the fastest at the 700 mark.
A very solid skate so far here by Shawnee. And Chad, being a longer distance specialist, he's going to try to keep reeling Shawnee in as this race goes on.
A great indicator will be the 1100 mark. We'll see how they do. They're looking for a 1:18:01.
Shawnee's still looking very comfortable here, Tim.
1:16:77, the fastest yet.
Having a great race here, Tim. Now he gets to have that last inner track. He's got both arms down, trying to keep that frequency going. He might have come up just a little bit there, but look at him. He's still looking nice and strong.
Final turn, down the stretch, looking for a 1:46:28. Trying to set the rink record. 1:46:02, a new rink record.
Rink record, a championship record, and he's in first place overall after 3 distances.
So Shawnee Davis of the United States in first place. Mark Tydert is second. Chad Hedrick is third. The United States, 2 of the top 3 places with 1 race yet to come.
You're watching ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Oh, but they wouldn't be surprised here. An idyllic setting in Hamar for the World All-Round Speed Skating Championships. Olympic Hall, the Viking ship, has never looked better, dressed out in its winter white. Meanwhile, inside, a strange development, Bonnie. Here is the leader after 3, and she's not looking well.
Annie not skating up to par in the last 2 races, not feeling up to par with draws with 1 race remaining.
Meanwhile, here's Jennifer Rodriguez in her final of the 4 distances. She won the 500, she won the 15, currently in 3rd place. This distance, she needed a 7:18, but she skated a 7:24:17 and knows that will not get her a medal this year. So now we join the final pair in the women's 5,000. Renata Grenewald has to skate 1.4 seconds faster than Claudia Pechstein to win the World Championship, and she has taken the lead.
And she's looking pretty strong, where it looks like Claudia is fading a little bit. Grenewald's picked up the pace. Her tempo's picked up quite a bit. Coming in with 1 lap to go. Oh!
Pechstein in trouble. Grenewald, the bell lap. She's in control.
And after almost 12 laps, when you lose your balance like that, your legs tighten up like rocks. And there's no way Grenewald's going to be becoming the new world champion.
The 5,000
10,000-meter race. Just over 3 miles, 12 and a half laps. Here comes Renata Grunewald. She's racing to the World Championship.
And finishing strong. She knows she only had to beat her by a little bit, but she is giving it all she's got all the way to the finish.
Renata Grunewald in with a time of 7:03.90, and she wins the World All-Round Championship.
And a very disappointed Claudia Pechstein losing her balance and basically loses the world title.
Grunewald finishes second in the 5,000-meter race, but after 4 distances, after the accumulation of points, Renata Grunewald is the world all-round champion. She sets a national record of points and is the first Dutch woman since 1974 to win a championship. And Claudia Pechstein, once again, so close, but doesn't win the gold.
The last 9 times in the top 3.
Bonnie, coming up, the final distance in the men's competition with 2 Americans standing tall on top of the leaderboard and looking for gold in the Viking ship. Plus, we will tell you about one of Norway's great Olympic heroes and his race to help others. It's all coming up next on ABC Sports. Johan Olof Koss is now a fan of the sport he once dominated. And every time he enters this great Olympic hall, he must have flashbacks of all his success. He won 3 Olympic golds in the Viking ship, a place and a time which perhaps in his life created a motivation to help others.
The most incredible part was the electricity and the atmosphere. And I remember thinking that they cannot get louder now because I was afraid my eardrum was going to burst. I remember coming to my first race, having no clue what's going to happen. I had no expectations, except that I wanted to really do my best. When I saw the national flag coming up and I heard the national anthem, and I was singing, but I also had 15,000 Norwegians singing with me. I had no clue all the things was going to happen when I stepped out of that ship after the week was finished, and how that week has basically changed my life.
Right before the '94 games, Koss visited a war-torn country in Africa, and he was so moved he pledged to dedicate his life to helping children in need. 10 years later, he is still tirelessly campaigning through his organization Right to Play to give these children, many of whom have never seen a soccer ball or a baseball bat, opportunities to play sport.
We have to let people be allowed to dream and give them an opportunity to dream. Because if they believe and there can be something better in the future, they will strive for it. I've been given such a great opportunity and a great platform to be able to do things for other people. I'm just thankful.
His race to health continues. The 10-year reunion this weekend here in Hamar had everybody reliving the greatness of the Olympics. My partner, Bonnie Blair, and that had to be a thrill, Bonnie.
It doesn't seem like 10 years ago. Here you got Johan Olof Koss, Dan Jansen in a ceremonial race. What a special weekend.
So we move ahead to the men's 10,000-meter race. We pick it up after 23 laps, 6.3 miles, 2 laps to go. Chad Hedrick skating with Carl Verheyen, and he's skating very consistently. This is a 31.6-second lap.
Well, Carl leading this race, but all Chad has to do is stay within about 16 seconds of Carl to take the overall lead in the competition. He's doing that. He's only 4 seconds back right now. He's got a lap and a half to go. He is well on his way to taking the lead in this championship.
Bonnie, what's amazing to me here is it looks like Chad Hedrick is actually picking up the pace. The lap looks faster.
And he's not given up yet, Tim. He's still giving it everything he's got. He's got about a lap to go.
And look at this lap time, 31.2, 0.4 of a second faster than his last lap.
And all he knows he has to do, Tim, is skate the rest of this lap, and he is well on his way to having a shot at winning that overall title.
Bonnie, as we look at Carl Verheyen here, he has to be helping Chad. He's skating a fine race.
Well, and he's really given Chad somebody to chase. Just being a little bit ahead of him, that's given Chad all he needed.
Verheyen comes in with an excellent time, 13:17.86. That'll put him in first place in the 10,000 meters, but he acted as a rabbit. Hedrick with a terrific time, and that will make Hedrick the overall leader. So now we go to the final pairing, Shawnee Davis. He just watched Hedrick, and he now knows what he has to do to win the gold. But he has 25 laps, 6.3 miles to get to the top of the medal stand.
Ready.
Bonnie, he's got 9.3 seconds to play with. Is he in condition now to win this race and still do it within that 9.3 seconds that he has over Hedrick?
Well, I think he definitely has the potential, and he's been on a great roll. He's had 3 super races just to begin with, but this is a long race. You've got to get into a nice rhythm at the very beginning. 25 laps is a long way to go.
Now, I know you were a sprinter, Bonnie, but here they are, 6.3 miles. I mean, this is a 2-hour walk for most men. And what is going through their mind right now, knowing that distance is in front of them?
All right, but one thing they have to do is try to get into that zone, because, Tim, it is 25 laps. They need to be in that one zone where they just get in that nice rhythm, nice flow. He looks very comfortable on his skates right there. His coach telling him exactly what his lap times are. He knows what he needs to do to try to overtake Chad for the overall title.
Keep in mind, folks, this is one of the most grueling events that you will ever witness. We'll be back for the conclusion of the 10,000-meter distance, the race to the gold, right after these messages. Coming up next, except for those of you on the West Coast, ABC tips off a college hoops doubleheader. You'll see either Cincinnati, Wake Forest, Kansas, Nebraska, or UConn, Pittsburgh. Then at 3:30, it's Maryland, North Carolina, or UNLV, Missouri. So check your local listings for the games in your area. After 23 laps of the 10,000-meter race, 2 laps to go. Shawnee Davis needs to skate at 13:30.96 to win the gold medal and finish ahead of his teammate Chad Hedrick.
Well, and Timmy has fallen off of that, so now he's really skating for second place. Fabrice here in the lead in this race. Shawnee falling off. This isn't his specialty, but he is giving it everything he has.
He had 9.3 seconds on Hedrick at the start of the race, but he's lost that. Nonetheless, he's still skating well, as is Fabrice.
Fabrice gaining a lot of experience as he gets ready for the Olympics in Italy. And here we go with Shawnee. 1 lap to go. And he knows that if he stays on his feet, he will be second overall. The Americans 1 and 2. That is the best finish by the U.S. team ever.
Fabrice's lap time was strong. 33-second lap time for Shawnee Davis. He is really struggling now, but showing a lot of intestinal fortitude. And here comes Fabrice after a long race, 6.3 miles. And he skates in with a time of 13:29.59.
What a terrific race by Fabrice. 3rd in the 10,000.
And a time of 13:35.93 for Davis, a personal best, but not enough to win the gold. Chad Hedrick from Magnolia, Texas, wins the gold medal and becomes the first American to win the all-round since 1988. But a terrific day for the Americans, who finished 1 and 2. Chad Hedrick of the United States, just 18 months into his long track speed skating career, wins the world title and etches his name among the world's elite.
Well, I've just been working hard all year. I'm new to the sport here. Just really excited. Don't really know what to say. This is one of my goals here, to win the Olympic gold medal, and you know, it's just starting here. So this is a really emotional day for me.
As night falls on Hamar, this great Olympic venue has done it once again. It's been a fantastic championship, and as we reflect, we also remind you that ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Search ABC Sports. For Bonnie Blair, I'm Tim Brandt saying so long from Norway. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports Championship Television.
Tomorrow at 10/9 Central.
Who killed Jesus?